九喵，九喵啊，塔克車，九喵啊 Tesla， 九喵啊 Simon， 九喵啊阿 Sam。咁我哋咧，今日咧，我咪應該擺翻個18加喺度 ，no，好細啊佢。好啦，我哋今日會玩一隻咧。好18加嘅 game 咁樣啦，好似好18加，其實佢唔係啊，應該咁咧，希望我唔會俾人黃標啦。佢叫咩名咧？等我望翻個名先。Genital 唔識讀 Jousting 啊，應該係啩。咁咧就係關於叮叮嘅遊戲。佢係叫做，佢有中文譯名噶，佢叫雞雞的戰爭，係雞雞的戰爭，即係我哋今日嚟玩呢一個戰爭模擬器，我哋當係戰爭模擬器先啦。OK， 做喵啊，小明，做雞，唔係啊，做喵啊，我唔記得喺 Twitter 度 retweet 一下添。引用咁咧，今日咧呢隻 game 咧就應該去睇落去好似好神奇咁噶啦。咁我就轉個畫面睇下我見唔見到佢。哈，有啊，佢 warning 我啊，佢 warning 我啊，我會唔會俾人黃標噶？我唔記得食 BGM 啊，唔好意思啊，我頭先食咗個麵，而家好飽。做咩啊？他黑車 escape what？ 開返隻 game 先，係就係咁。然後咧。聽到聲個嗬，好大聲咯！聾未啊？我聾咗啦，我聾先過你哋噶，我聾先過你哋噶，哇！呢隻 game 咁大聲嘅。陣間會唔會黃標？唔關隻 game 事，係啲音樂噶又。我唔知佢啊，我唔知佢嘅音樂係有冇問題啊。我哋睇下佢嘅音樂啦。我哋熄咗，no this。OK， 我哋呢個。咁樣啦，我哋唔要佢嘅音樂，我哋睇蟲蟲，今日係玩蟲蟲遊戲啲音效，OK 咧，咩啊 ？Hold down， 之後 hold down，Story mode， 我哋做咩啊？睇下，我哋玩 Story mode，New game，我哋得 new game， 因為我係完全冇啊！我哋完全係冇開過嘅。Go to the left， 同埋 right， 係啦，哇 ！Oh my god！ 啊！咩啊？今日玩係啊，今日玩呢一個奇怪嘅 game，Knock the apple off the tree， 嘿，推走佢。點樣熱啊 ？What the？ 做咩啊？寶寶比薩。哦，佢可以換其他頭㗎，原來。Oh my god！Oh my fuck！ 啦啦啦啦啦啦啦啦，你唔係 story mode 咩？撇。啊 ，Go to the sand。我不要睇落去。做咩呀 ？No one will ever love you. What？ 喂！我 no 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 no， 走開！走開啊！啊 ！What the？
John woke to the shrill cry of his alarm clock and lay there, rigid, his usual morning condition. But there was another reason John couldn't get out of bed. It was the weight. A weight that had nothing to do with his muscles or fat or sweaty blankets. John was weighed down by a piece of paper. The invitation to his high school reunion. From across the years, the words he'd heard in the schoolyard were still clear. You're a loser. No one will ever love you.
做咩啊？白狼天狗咩啊？唔係，你要撳熄個鬧鐘，收聲啊！哇！我刷新咗個鬧鐘。之後，哇！爆谷嚟啊，唔係喎，紙巾嚟。爆谷，笑死！之後咧，呢個係咩啊？紙啊，呢啲衫嚟啊，佢要着衫㗎。我做咩啊，渣渣
？John threw on an outfit. He didn't feel comfortable wandering around his home naked.
我出唔返去。哦，好多紙巾。咁呢個咧
，John had 3 months until the reunion to turn his life around.
喂，唔好棘
First,
住。
he needed to clean up.
吓 ？Take care. OK， 我哋要清。哇！曱甴啊！我要點樣清理呢啲嘢啊？唔係，我首先要點樣清先？係一個問題，呢一個係一個好問題。又攞 pat pat 嚟清唔通？唔係咯，電視機嗰兩個喺度做乜鬼嘢？睇電視。我喺度似搗亂多啲喎，我有啲唔識控制我自己咧，救命啦！救命啦！好核突啊佢！啊！哇！曱甴！啦！燒菠蘿。
The only reason he'd ordered so much takeout was because Delilah, the delivery peen, made John feel butterflies
啱啱係
in
咪
his
發生咗啲
testicles.
咩事？我屋企火燭啦，掹唔返出嚟點算啊？唔係，放低你個碟。嗰啲曱甴攝晒喺中間，好核突啊！出嚟！吉到啊！俾個仙人掌吉到啊！救命！個仙人掌吉到啊！痛唔痛啊？我要做啲咩話？我個頭遮住咗，閂門。閂門啦！喂，個門唔識閂嘅，我發現咗啦。個菠蘿又要着火啦，準備。笑死我！呢機會要影低佢，俾我個 friend 睇。哦，仲有個肉丸呢，冇啦係嘛？冇嘢做啦嘛？轉翻個頭先。我呢邊出街啊！我要翻屋企。我冇得翻屋企。 我佢唔俾我返屋企。
John had left his apartment late.
我
But
哋
if
個
he
巴士
caught
啊
the express，
唔好意
bus,
思，
he
借
might
開
make it to work on
借
time.
開啊！黐線，唔
John
好
didn't
問
really
我。
like his job, but it had 2 qualities in its favor. 1, he could pay his rent, and 2, Barbara.
唔好行
Currently
咁埋
John's
右下
top
角。
candidate for
Okay.
his reunion date.
我影低俾我 friend 少少咯。佢呢度係咪全部嘢都係咁㗎？我要追巴士。
John noticed a moderately attractive peen
Oh, hi.
waiting at the stop.
我係
He tried to start a
no
conversation
no
and did not get the reaction he'd hoped for. It was probably because he was a minimum wage peen. She could probably sense it.
等陣先，等陣先。我想冇啦，算啦。我想問佢睇下有冇巴士。我想睇下會唔會有字幕咁解啫。
The office hummed with cold
I'm sorry.
fluorescent lighting.
哇！我係
The
搗亂
air
嗰個。
was cold and stale, lifeless.
哇！
How long had John worked here?
我哋陣間有
Long
人吉
enough
親。
to deserve better.
Flash。哦，印象中冇。好啦，佢冇字幕嘅。喂呀，呢啲嘢阻住咗我啊！喺邊位？走開啊！呢度門唔俾入㗎。行開啦你！哇，好多人啊呢度，恐怖！咁鬼多垃圾嘅點解可以？黐線！咩公司
John
嚟？
was
全部都
late,
棘住。
but he felt daring. He could sneak into the office through the archives, or he could stroll through the front entrance with enough confidence to bluff his boss.
呢個鎖咗門。可唔可以玩電？唔係呢個咪哇！呢個叫咩？呢個滅火器。呢度唔俾入嘅。
John
跌
decided
咗落
to
去。
creep in through the archives.
啊！
Despite the obvious flaws, John thought it was a good plan and not a recipe for
我都
humiliation.
唔想嘅，啱啱佢原來會噴血㗎，嚇死我！咁我可唔可以上返去㗎？我去咗邊？我去咗邊？我去咗邊？哦
Everyone else was hard at work, grinding away. John might actually get away with this. The boss. He homed in
no
on John, deluging him with spit and buzzwords.
棘住
The
啊！
boss ran
走
out of
開
synonyms
啊
for！John's failings and gave him an
吉親
ultimatum.
啦！吉親啦！
Barbara would definitely not be interested in dating John if he was
棘住
unemployed.
咗啲咩？
He
我
had
棘
to
住咗
get
棵
to the
仙人
quality
掌，黐
assurance
線咯！
department.
嚇？咩事啊？呢度點解要着住呢件黃色嘅衫咁核突嘅？呢啲係咩嚟？呢啲係做嘢嘅地方。呢啲係咩？紙。哇！箱。好啦，我做到呢度啲嘢全部都亂晒龍圈。嘿！我哋又有呢個。哦。OK。呢個係咩
There
？What
might
the
be a
fuck？
faulty dildo just
What the fuck is
waiting to
this?
cost the company millions in lawsuits. John would have to test them all.
吓？要 test 咯。飲翻啖水先得咯。定定勁先。咩要試50個？頭盔嚟一定係黐線。What the fuck？
Prostate Pounder
Wow, hold
X900 series? the most advanced vibrator on the market.
點解？哇！
Mother of no, John, that's too much pleasure for one
What the
innocent
fuck is
hand.
this one？ 哇！佢飛起咗。What the fuck？ 啊！後面個左邊、右邊我頭頂嗰兩嚿嘢喺度做乜鬼嘢？哇！佢彈起咗。What the fuck？ 佢喺度做咩？哎，有個咩？有個滅火筒。個滅火筒喺我頭後面，冇辦法，啱啱好佢個 pat pat 出現啦。
John's butt hurt, but his heart was proud. If that vibe had gotten out into the world, it could have injured a customer as badly as it had ravaged his anus.
我點樣攞佢出嚟嘅？我點樣可以攞到佢出嚟？唔係要攞呢塊咩？
The boss arrived and congratulated John on taking one for the team and jumping on the hand grenade, or in this case, putting it up his butt. John was having trouble following the conversation because he was quite high on suppository painkillers.
係啊，好似架車。
And then the boss said it.
有兩個轆嘅。
Finally, the company was recognizing John's hard work and ignoring his minor faults like lack of talent, constant lateness, and flatulence.
倒瀉喺呢個咖啡，係唔要同你做 friend。
John's new office smelt like polished wood and
我哋有
success.
自己嘢做，
John's success.
夜用款我唔用㗎。
Sam dropped by. He'd heard John had been
Sam.
hurt. John said he
佢
was
叫阿
fine. He wasn't a softie to complain about a mildly ruptured rectum. Besides, he had a promotion to celebrate. John had met Sam in college during a sports ball game.
No,
He'd given
no,
him
no,
some
no, no,
stiff
no,
competition.
no! 啊，攝咗出嚟，啊，棘住咗，唔係棘住咗，唔係啊，你推入去做乜鬼嘢？你做乜推啊 ？shit no！ 俾我！啊唔係啊，嗰邊個碌我㗎，好似no 啊，攝咗，出返嚟啊！走開！你走開，阿 Sam 走開。喂，唔係吓？
They'd started at Flesh Corp product testing together.
咁突然嘅，
Nothing builds a friendship like a long day
你
of
試晒佢
dildo
啦。
mounting.
哦，哎呀，啊！我仲用緊後面行緊嘅咩？試啦你，你咪推佢埋去先。
Everyone was quiet, listening to the presentation. A good moment for John to ask Barbara out.
Hey, 你咧？
That's not Barbara, John.
你呢？我擒翻上去咯，得啦，我上去老細，佢女低咗啊！嘿，你呢位？
Well, she nodded.
老細暈咗啊！唔使翻工，唔使開會啫，唔使開會。哎呀，我女低咗啊！
John tried to act as suave as possible and listen to Barbara talk business. He didn't want to blow his chances at long-term love and short-term
哇，
sex.
咁樣嘅服務態度嘅，哇，吉親啊！
Barbara began to talk about monthly feedback figures,
飲酒
and John
好
started
啊
to
飲，
zone
唔
out,
唔要飲啊！
imagining him and Barbara at the reunion.
坐得冇嘢諗嘅，
She would make his classmates sick with envy.
啊
If
blah blah
he
blah，
could get her to tone down the boring chatter.
飲酒
John's balls were gripped by certainty. Barbara was the
喂，
perfect date
斟
for
酒
the
先得㗎，
reunion.
冇晒啦。
John thought he would impress Barbara by going behind the bar and showing the bartender a thing or two.
喂，砰！
Despite Barbara's protests that it was unnecessary,
這邊
John knew
這邊
that a true
做咩
gentleman
啊？
should follow her home. He was
Awesome.
excited. There was still 3 months until the reunion, and he'd already landed his
Barbara.
perfect date. All he had to do was seal the deal.
哇，有屎啊！sorry， 哦，我整爛晒呢度啲嘢先。嘿，哇！乜鬼？我哋有乜嘢私藏文具嘅？可以啊，原來我哋逐間屋係咪都可以入得㗎？呢一間係 Barbara Home 啊？做咩攞屎忽行？我呢一間，咁我就唔入去住。嘿，喂，企住！誒，出唔返嚟？佢唔畀我入。佢唔畀我行入去啊！我行呢度。都唔入得。一定要去佢間屋啊！去佢間屋做乜嘢啊？我唔想同佢做 friend 喎。佢叫咩名啊？佢唔係阿 Sam 啊，就係。哇！有殼啊！你喂出面有蚯蚓嘅你。
Barbara thanked John for the evening
Oh,
and
come back,
politely
Sam,
did
okay,
not
Barbara.
invite him inside for coffee or sex, even though John had dropped some pretty
Wow.
obvious hints he'd be into both,
外邊。
or just the
企住咗
sex.
，the
The door slammed on John's hopes. He didn't understand. He'd laughed at all Barbara's pie chart jokes. He'd listened to her boring stories.
好，我哋咪要失業啦，準備。我哋咪要準備失業啦。佢唔俾我翻轉頭，佢要我哋入去佢屋企。Oh my god！ 我唔想。唔喎，會唔會有車路邊嘅？
John felt empty. How could he get love?
明。啊，有
He
狗
felt
仔
like he
啊！
was missing
熱
something,
狗，
some key to
Hi.
attracting sex.
喎，
But John was shooting blanks. What
睇
did
嚟好多
penis
分
want?
支，我諗應該係。Hello， 喎。
Then it hit John out of nowhere. Stuff. He had the success. He just needed to show it off.
係，上唔上到去㗎？上唔到啊！
But where was John going to get all the stuff he wanted? John needed a sign.
而家我哋有咩要做嘅？而家冇嘢做啦，係。
A new day, a new John. He waited
Yes, and
outside his
工作啦。
local buttload store for it to open, eager to spend his promotion bonus on stuff. The best way to impress women.
下陣，哇有錢啊！有錢啊！我塞個頭入去就有錢㗎咯，你睇下，嗱喺我側邊，我哋走開，已經攞咗錢啦，我哋入去啦，我哋係 ATM 嚟嘅。Hi，喂，你暈咗喎？喂，你冇事啊嘛？冇嘢啦，唔打擾你啦，拜拜。呢個又有桶爆谷，紫色嘅爆谷，企住，企住，好痛！喂到後行好似好啲。
Suddenly it occurred to John that he was going to make a lot of choices. And every one of those choices would tell the world who he was. Did he want cheese or sausage?
腸仔，呢個係咩啊？芝士，跟住，企住， 咩嚟？
What would a date think when they sat in John's home?
哇，右邊要
Comfort
2500 蚊，
or style?
右邊要2500蚊係咩事？買晒。
John went with comfort. Plus, it matched the couch he already had. John weighed up
有咩分
all
別啊？
the differences, but this was a tough choice.
有什麼分別？
John chose the extremely, obviously bad TV.
點解？兩個都會喺度，係咪 IKEA？ 唔知喎，唔知係咪 IKEA？ 有呢一個，我唔中意佢喺度。
John realized that it was only 2 months and 29 days until the reunion.
哇！佢走咗。
Time flies. Cactus or rose? Was John a rugged
玫瑰
hero
花
or
啦，
a romantic poet? If John grew his own flowers, then he'd save on romantic gestures in the long run.
啊，嚇棺材嚟。喂，有咩分別啊？啊 ，IKEA，
There was nothing John could take with him to the grave.
所以咪呢個咯。
Except his coffin. John liked to get his pizza delivered. That
呢
way
個
he
係
could see
宗教
Delilah,
戰
the
爭啊！
delivery peen. She
宗教
always made him smile.
你哋食 pizza 要唔要菠蘿？我係想整
John
嗰個
knew
嘢
that
度。
Delilah thought pineapple
Ooh.
on pizza was an
打交
abomination.
打交，我係
What
有
bedding
定
would Delilah prefer? John couldn't help wondering.
我係有 pizza 定冇 pizza 都 OK， 即係總之睇下我同邊個人食。如果嗰個人唔想食有菠蘿嘅，我都 OK 咁樣。正喎，100蚊呢個，要呢個啊，老闆。
Pizza sheets would show her that John could also
個老闆
deliver.
喺我後邊啊，好
in bed.
恐怖啊！
Devoid of any sense of style, buying new clothes would be John's toughest challenge. The silky fabric made John feel like a
Wow.
celebrity. When was the last time John had been to the beach? John felt sharp
哇！
and also like a photo.
有西裝着啊！係記住
Very spunk rock.
，what the fuck？
A nice fit, but could John pull off
好
the
啦，要翻呢
color?
個先啦。西裝
It was a bit breezy,
哇
maybe for
mini 人
summer.
嚟喎呢個。咩事啊？呢個哦，呢個係頭先見過嗰個嚟啊，好似哇泳衣就咁樣啦，走開啦，係
John decided to go with the outfit. Music, the food of love. Should John go retro sophisticated or just retro?
個頭仲要蝴蝶結，我就想點解佢個頭有嚿嘢？你哋話咧？你哋會中意聽邊種啊？但係我而家都好少會用喎，兩種都喎。左邊嗰種嗰啲卡帶少啲會見到咯，而家在，所以會揀左定右啊？左定右？你哋話咧？碟有風味啲，我都覺碟有風味啲。咁我哋要個碟問下。
John was sure he could just pirate extra records.
我哋要去
Every
溝
can
女。
was made of metal, pulled from the bones of the earth,
你
wrestled to the surface and smelted in roaring furnaces. All so John could buy peas preserved in salty water and stick them up his butt.
我冇聽到呢兩個係咩嚟㗎？有咩分別㗎？呢兩個，一個藍色，一個黃色㗎啦，姐姐。你做咩喐啊？點解你綠色嘅？有啲咩係綠色㗎？我咪當佢哋係動物嚟嘅。 溝通㗎。你個頭唔使跟住字，我冇用啊。所以藍色同黃色有咩分別？我哋揀藍色定黃色好？做咩 whatever？ 我哋揀邊個好啊？嗱，我撳咗下上咋，我冇喐噶。你哋話啦，你哋想揀邊樣？揀個奇異啲嘅就綠色啦。唔係，呢隻唔係綠色，呢隻藍色。藍色，唔好意思咯。
John's new purchases were on the way to his apartment. All he had to do was invite a date over.
我哋買咗咁多嘢
stuff, and they'd be overwhelmed with sexual desire. John felt proud, and also hungry.
我哋有
It
咁
gave
多
him
錢
an
嘅，
idea. He should invite Delilah over for dinner.
我哋要唔食嘢啦，我哋要食晚餐。佢話
John was excited. Delilah was on her way. He just needed to set the mood to romance.
我哋要音樂，音樂喺邊？音樂仲要有蠟燭。我點樣點着啲蠟燭？What the hell？哦，有啦，我見到啦，呢度。我上唔到去啊！哦，有啦。點樣點啊？點樣點啊？啊！哦，哦，原來係咁樣。What？ 我哋有蠟燭啦，要有音樂啦，我哋要去攞啲碟擺上去啦。可唔可以閂翻個櫃桶？定棘親就唔好啦。即係太多喺度唔係幾好。有音樂啦，好遊戲。做咩我 D shop？ 做咩我唔知個？然後我哋要玫瑰花喺我頭頂嗰度。Oh my god！ 我哋去攞。哎呀
John hoped she didn't have allergies. That must be Delilah at the door.
行開啦！咩啊？哎
The door opened and there was Delilah. John got
pizza.
on his nerves and invited her in. John could tell that Delilah was impressed by his stuff. It was time to crank up the mood.
你行開啲啊！我唔想頂住啊！借開啊！
John wanted to offer Delilah wine, but he'd already popped his cork. Delilah started looking as nervous as John felt. He assumed it was because she was shy too. They really were compatible. Of course, at the reunion, he couldn't mention Delilah was a delivery pee. That would be embarrassing.
做咩？
Delilah suddenly headed for the door. John hadn't even paid.
我未俾佢走，走啦！你棘住咗我啊！
And just like that, John was alone again. Delilah hadn't even looked at his stuff. Not even the pizza bedspread. The rejection burned. John felt insignificant. He had everything he wanted. The job, the money, the stuff.
哇！佢可以穿牆出去㗎，張梳
He
化。哦，
wanted to destroy it
拜
all.
拜 sofa。
Die, couch! Shove it into the abyss.
未
His stuff
destroy
didn't
晒
matter.
喎，等陣先，
He
你
was
等我
a shaft
destroy
in the
埋先，我
machine.
想玩。
A lonely piston pumping away like all the others in his rigid place. Nothing special about him. Why should Delilah or Barbara or any other peen be interested in dating him? He was just like everyone else, and they could tell. John wanted to be special, but he had to face the numb truth.
留翻個 pizza 陣間食
He
先，
wasn't. And all the money and stuff he'd ever accumulate wouldn't change
推
that.
晒啲嘢落
He
去，
thought it would make him
落去
unique.
啦。
Begone, boxes. Sayonara, stew.
But it just made him more like everyone else. He should leave it all. Get out of this little town and go on another. See the world. He was a boring corporate drone, but he didn't have to be. He could be exploring jungles and climbing mountains. He could visit the wonders of the world and get his picture taken. Like Peony Island, the unspoiled paradise he'd seen on TV. That was it. John had to travel. Bags packed, John was ready to put 5,000 miles between him and his problems. He was leaving it all behind.
喂，你幫我 check in 啊，快啲棘住咗啊！第一日唔好再抌咗佢好唔好？唔該。
John was so close, he could almost smell the freedom of the skies.
乜鬼嘢？嗨，呢位小姐，哎呀，你係咪小姐？唔知。
Security sent John back through the detector.
我冇嘢嘅，等陣先啊！哦，做乜鬼嘢？做乜鬼嘢 ？Empty pocket， 我點樣 empty pocket 嚟？打一陣，你打一陣。
John had forgotten he had his nail clippers with him. He'd have to buy another pair soon, or he'd look ridiculous.
係啊，去啦！哇，好逼喎！你集飛機咁逼嘅外邊啊！我就我隔離嗰個有烏蠅㗎，我隔離嗰個有烏蠅，我要嘢。喂，我要飲嘢。瞓覺啦，大家。哇！哇，係沙漠啊！沙漠唔係，係金字塔。係金字塔啊！
That was going to piss off the globeheads.
啊！What the fuck？ 有冇口水？好，我哋會冇錢嘅，可唔可以執翻地下啲錢咧？有咁東京啊、日本啊喺邊啊？日本喺邊？我唔識分咯，我唔係好識分咯。啊，我想俾殺青塔，係咪又要後面有嘅？啊！有5個 like 啊！走開啊！喂，走開啊！企鵝 ，hello， 可唔可以同企鵝影相啊？哇！自由神像呢個係嚇，自由神像冇人 like 嘅。唔係啊，走開啊！點解北極會有企鵝？係喎，點解北極會有企鵝？企鵝唔係南極嘅咩？我想問日本喺邊啊？呢度係日本啊！我沉咗水啦！no no 啊！我唔係要呢個，我要日本啊！走開！日本啊，呢個係日本。我整冧咗日本。こんにちは。冇錢啊！
fun, but something told him he needed to go home. Probably his empty bank account.
哇，好逼啊又！收到乜嘢啊？
On his way back home, he was out of money.
哇，隔離嗰個咁高嘅。
我
隔離嗰個咁高嘅。
that had made John a more interesting and developed person, with 100 Buttstagram photos to prove it. Finally, everything was going smoothly.
後面嗰個做乜鬼嘢？
John felt good to be back on the familiar ground of home.
我哋返嚟
But he
啦。
would feel better to be on the familiar mattress of home.
我哋要攞返啲行李。行李邊個係啊？都唔知
That's not
邊個。
John's bag.
哦，呢個。 我都唔認得啦，係咪我哋翻屋企啦？走開啊！行李唔係你啊！攞住2件行李。喂，有人唔見咗行李啊！我抌咗個行李。好似抽筋咁啊！我覺得你隻手，讓開啦！做乜鬼嘢？我行李啊！我又要搭巴士。
And he just really wanted to get home and get some sleep.
係，車死我！碌咗去邊？喂，棘住咗啊！喂，棘住咗啊！我喺邊啊？哦，我上到巴士，我終於上到巴士啦！有咩？哇！呢個又係乜嘢？翻要 locker， 我要揾我自己 locker。呢個 ，Oh my god！ 呢個係我 locker。哦，有情書。哇！唔係喎，係我哋要放情書喺人哋個 locker。邊度啊？要去邊啊？咁遠嘅點解去 locker？到啦！有 no one will ever love you。哎呀！哇！出到乜嘢啊！
Another nightmare. John's stress about getting a date for the reunion was making him think of her. Harmony. He hadn't seen her in years. Would she be at the reunion? John shook off the thought. He wasn't a child. He was a fully grown penis.
做咩揾廿七？
John, why is the bathroom barricaded?
呢度係邊度？呢度係我哋頭先推晒啲嘢落樓嗰度。得我哋翻入去。佢唔俾我翻入去啊！我成日都行咗出嚟。
John's butt started to buzz.
哇！有
Had
芝
he
士
left the
食。
vibrator up there? Whatever it was, he should get it out.
我哋又要出去。好啦，我都未去過廁所。乜鬼嘢嚟啊
John's old phone. They really were indestructible.
點
It was
啊
Sam？ calling.
喂，
He wanted to check in on John. The travel looked fun, but it was so sudden. Was John okay? Sam was such a softie, always worrying about feelings. John had only one feeling, and it was the feeling of being awesome. He could drop Sam a text, but John was on a mission. The reunion was getting
噴水
closer,
等住
and
講
he
嘢。
had to get a date.
Oh my
Fortunately,
god！
John knew exactly where to find love.
又係你，又揾阿 Sam 啊佢。好啦，阿 Sam 我
John held his breath.
阿 John 要去
He
揾
was
阿
about to
Sam，
meet his match. He had to reassure himself he could do this.
會唔會着
He had a
火啊
good job. He had nice stuff.
Did you-
He had traveled. He was ready to find love.
？Find perfect match 啊！記住
On Weena, where all his sexy travel photos would give him the pick of the pack.
你邊位 ？No。哦，佢點解唔係畫左邊嘅？
Too skinny.
唔知啊。喂分，好難操控啊！
Sexy.
唔要啊！
Too short. Too much foreskin. Not enough foreskin. Glasses.
好搞嘢啊！唔要啊！我呢個大帽喎，呢個搞笑。
Very nice.
呢個係呢個石嚟嘅。我喺邊啊？喺度。嘿，
Nope.
頭先嗰支狗黑人。 呢個邊個啊？算啦，呢個好似頭先有要過。
Yep, the pick of the pack.
要啊，佢係咪要我一定要揀啲啊？揀多啲啊？全部都要啊嘛？喂，拉唔到佢過嚟。呢個係狗仔啊，唔係呢個唔係狗仔，呢係警察，綠色嘅。
Yes, John had the pick of the pack.
哦，哇！佢會識噴彩紙。哇！你好核突啊！
John valued honesty in a date.
好
But he
多
had
烏
been
蠅啊你！
expecting a different kind
開
of
電視
dirty,
機。
a sexy and much more hygienic kind.
哇！黐線佬，黐線佬啊！哇！曱甴啊！哇！我哋去話，哇！哎呀，我唔要呢一個，我唔要呢一隻色，我要紅色。
So late in
我
life.
要紅色啊！What the fuck？算啦。點樣話？我日日 keep 住晒佢哋。Oh my god！有個唔見咗啊！有個斷咗啊！唔止一個哦。
Better put that on ice. It'll be okay, John. Chicks digs cars. I hope.
個個都跌晒落地啦。Oh
After the
no！
reattachment surgery,
power
the
got that
doctors
idea.
had told John to rest. So he did, for 6 hours.
係，我想食爆谷。啊！揞咗啦。
Ugh, salty.
咩啊 ？Finance 坐啦，坐啦。
John was in stitches.
反台，留俾噩夢。攞住朵花，係
Karen had invited John straight over.
出咗乜嘢？
She was not fooling around. Very exciting. And now she wanted him round the back.
佢後面做咩啊？哇！好
Karen
多
let
人。
John know that the cake was only for the kids. So was the candy. And the piñata. And that she'd be back in 1 hour.
吓！我唔識照顧細路喎，唔好喐，企度揼你啊！揼你啊！我都係細路。哇！有蚯蚓啊！喺我個頭度，好核突。點樣睇啊？唔俾出去啊！呢度你喺度瞓啦。哦，全部都瞓晒。我咪落咗藥。我哋去沙灘講咩？我飲酒。
John
Woohoo!
laughed at Melody's hilarious bullfrog story.
飲
She
酒。
was
點解會有
adorable.
企鵝嘅？
Everything was going perfectly.
Hi 企鵝哦！哇！好大風啊！救命啊！哦，拜拜。
John never saw Melody again.
哦，佢永遠都唔見咗啦。
So far, Weena had been a parade of weirdos and rejections. If this date didn't work out, John vowed to give it up. But maybe this time, maybe today would be his day.
呢啲係咩？呢啲係蟲蟲。
Sharona sighed and
係
said, "You'll do."
做咩啊 ？TWP 做咩推我入去？哦，啊！
John felt a little underdressed and a lot overwhelmed. He was surrounded by strangers, and Sharona was glaring at the muscular groom. At least John hadn't missed out on the cake. John realized that Sharona had only brought him to create some penis
Hello.
envy. What a terrible plan.
我想飲酒。
So many reasons.
唔好意
John
思
got。excited.
哦
They were going to
佢
cut the
嗰邊
cake.
佢嗰邊有把
He's
刀。
mine! Sharona screamed as she launched herself at the newlyweds.
Suddenly, penises were up and yelling, "No, he's mine!" It was a no-hold-barred cockfight.
啊！怎么也啊！哇！发生了什么啊？黐線嘅呢度，黐線嘅。啊！得啦！哎呀，會暈㗎啦，好冇？哎呀！點解佢有得加速嘅？點解我冇得加速？哎呀！點解你有得加速？我啲人死晒啦！哎呀！我啲人喺度。
As John dodged flying glasses and cake, he felt a stab of envy. The groom had dozens of penises after him, and John had none. It was just wrong.
佢追住我㗎。哇！救
John
命
left
啦！
the screams and explosions behind him. It was a disastrous end to his online dating.
入去睇下先。佢唔俾我入去睇。我想入去睇下佢發生咩事啊！可唔可以送我上前？我受傷，我撞親啦。
He had tried
咁我走咯。
everything, and it just wasn't good enough.
咁我走
He
咯。
wasn't good enough. Maybe the bullies from school were right.
搶
Swans
消
were
防
so
車，
simple.
你估而家
You gave them
你
bread,
估而家
they liked
GTA
you. But you can't take a swan to a reunion.
係，我想俾啲麵包佢哋，但係棘住咗啲麵包，好似 Hello， 哎呀游水。啊 no， 錯到乜啫啊！麵包喺上邊啊，棘住啊！哇！你哋走埋上嚟咬我，不過麵包喺下邊，見唔見到啊？你哋見到未啊？點解你哋係蛇嘅聲嘅？我哋不，哇！你跑得好快啊！你哋錯到乜啫啊 ？no！ 咩啊？隻 game 超政治唔正確，一個女仔都冇。有啊，佢有啲着住女仔衫噶，佢嗰啲係女仔嚟噶。啊！哎呀，我行你仲要車到我嘢，有好多
John
女
wanted
噶。
what that groom had. Love. Real love. The kind that makes penises fight to the death.
哎呀，俾人打。我哋又要搭巴士啦，搭巴士。咦，我哋有隻鵝喺度，點樣沖涼㗎？點樣？哎呀！哦。
Days later, the question
幫
was
你沖
still
埋涼
bugging
啦。
John.
呢
Why
隻
were
係咩
so
啊？呢
many
隻係鵝。
penises in love with the groom? But no one
沖
loved
涼啦。
John.
呢度我哋新屋企，呢度就係我哋嘅新屋企。
It wasn't fair. John deserved attention. He had money and Buttstagram pics of his adventures. He even still had quite a lot of stuff. What did that penis have that John didn't?
放唔到，放唔到落去喂。呢個係浴衣嚟㗎。 咩啊？話沖涼影住得唔得㗎？我哋又有呢個電視機。
Then it hit John. That penis was so strong and hard. That's what everyone wanted. That's what John wasn't. That's what John had to be to find love. It was time to hit the gym.
佢教住定咩話？我唔知。
John arrived at his local gym. A part of him couldn't believe he was here. He just wasn't a gym penis. But John had tried everything else. If he wanted to get the perfect date, he'd need to sign up.
我哋行啦。
Sam? What was he doing here? Of course, Sam was married. John's theory was right. If you get muscles, you get love.
阿 Sam 你結咗婚啦，阿 Sam。
Out of nowhere, Sam asked John how he was doing. Really doing. For a moment, John wanted to be honest. But he didn't come to gym to be a softie. John was here to get hard. It was John's first time in a gym since school. He tried not to read too much into that. Sam went on ahead with a chipper promise to meet up with John inside. John had two options. He could try month by month, or if he signed the 10-year Big Muscles Big Savings contract, he'd get a free easy squeezy water bottle. John only needed muscles for the reunion. After that, he wouldn't care. The gym's clean peen pool policy meant that John would have to do something he had never done before. Get naked in front of strangers. Maybe he could set a record for speediest turns.
哇！你瞓啊！哦，係咪可以食埋佢嗰支？好嘢，偷埋佢啲嘢先。嗨，各位，沖涼。
John pretended he was alone and not surrounded by wrinkly, wet cocks. If John had to be clean, he might as well do his laundry too.
就開先啦咁，你自己開先啦咁。
Very fetching, John. It even matches your tan
點解
lines.
我裝着咁樣着啊？點解我裝着咗咁樣嘅話，佢3點式嚟啊呢個。
Time to conquer the pool.
係游水
Sam
啊！
enthusiastically greeted John and offered to show him around. Obviously not
飲埋佢
realizing
先。
that John was a natural athlete.
邊有知喎？可以一下子飲晒啊！哇！
John
大條
stuck close to Sam, just to make sure Sam knew John could swim. Not because John was worried about drowning.
得啊！
No, not
係
that.
咩嚟㗎？
An unmarked
吉住咗
syringe.
佢喎喂！
It's probably healthy. This is a health club after all. John's muscles bunched and bulged.
我見
The
到有
time in
個
the gym
滅火
was
器。
already paying off.
OK，個滅火器走啦。
The diving board. At
我可以
school,
上嚟啊！
all the peanlets had to jump off it. But
跌啦
John had been too scared.
嚟，我哋嚟
Well,
個
John
10分
wasn't
嘅
a
跳
scared
水。
peanut anymore.
1、2、3，哇！哇，打落去。
Well done,
痛
John. The judges give you 3 for form, but 9 for enthusiasm.
我哋要點樣？我哋要游水我哋唔係游完啦咩？佢話係咁樣游嘅咯。我頭髮仲有咩可以玩啊？誒，走去。咩色？
Pumped with
我都唔
steroids,
知。
John was ready to throw around some iron.
係，哇！
Clearly, John knew how to handle equipment. Sam cheered John on, as if he
Sam.
needed it. John smashed the mirror. He didn't want to look at his old body. He wanted to be hard.
我都未攞得起嗰
Adrenaline
嚿嘢。
coursed through John's veins. His butthole clenched like a
係攞
fist.
到啦。
John was
我整爛
forging
咗人哋
himself
啲
into the peen he saw on movie screens,
我整
bulging
爛
and
咗人哋
sweat
啲嘢
slicked,
係咪
hard and shiny.
哇！哇！哇！我唔係舉咗啦咩？
Boom! John was cocked and loaded.
係整爛人哋
Didn't
啲。
Sam ever get out of breath? The stream of encouragement was exhausting.
呢度係我哋做咩？呢啲係咩？呢度係瞓覺啊，可以飲佢支嘢。呢個唔係瞓覺啊，係跑步機嚟嘅。我陣忽sorry 啊，飲咗你支嘢，哈哈。我
John, getting flung from fast-moving
what the-
objects since preschool.
呵
Like the sweet sound of spaghetti and meatballs hitting a wall. Would John ever learn?
我
Odds
我
are
真快啊
no.
少少。呢個咧，呢個冇喐嘅。哦，
Slow
呢個有
and
喐
steady.
嚟嘅。
That's right, John. Like a lover. Or pouring gravy.
嚇死我！頭先睇一下，我真慌。
That had gotten John's heart rate up and his life expectancy down. John was sweating like a senator on a sex tape, but
What,
he
look at it.
wasn't done. Sam was in the zone, a mental state where nothing else mattered. Well, John could be in that zone too.
係咪要準備
He
瀨
could be in
尿啦？
that
我
zone
哋啊！
deeper than Sam, and he'd prove it.
阿聲走開先，阿聲走開啊！你前
Sam
面
didn't
嗰度有
react
個
to
滅火
John.
器，我要
This
玩。
room was different.
喂，
This room was for focus. This room
Ay,
was for your butthole.
點樣㗎？點樣㗎？
John took a
Oh my
deep
God.
breath, clenched, and pulled.
阿 Sam 嗰個多幾
Sam
嚿
made this
喎。
look so easy. John squashed the thought.
點
He
解我哋要
just
同
had to
阿
push
Sam
harder.
鬥快啊？
John tried to make eye contact with Sam, get in his head a bit.
直接撞爆
Sam
玻璃
didn't
嗰下
seem
嚇
to
死
notice
我！
John,
頭先
but
係
John
我
could tell
嘅。
Sam was impressed. Even though he still hadn't looked at John,
我哋要
not that
贏
it
阿
mattered to
Sam
John,
啊！
because John was in the zone, deep in the zone.
贏唔到
With
阿
the
Sam。
sound of a deflating truck tire,
Big
John's
one.
sphincter gave out. Sam congratulated John for trying
我哋贏唔
and
到阿
told him it
Sam
was
啊！
okay to
喂，
take
你走
things
開啦！
slow,
你塞住
as
咗
if
我啊！
John was going to quit.
咪我可以
Well,
喺
he
下行。
wasn't. John had a mission, and the reunion was getting closer.
又錄啊！又錄個禮拜。喂，我哋可以游水，你一格人哋10格。咩？呢個係咩啊？食嘢。翻工呢個係翻工又係睇呢啲嘅喂，你哋永遠啲工係咪淨係得呢啲嘅啫得咯？做咩我啲冇㗎？我哋又要做，我哋又要做運動啦。係，嗰個唔係啊，嗰個係棒棒。佢哋公司淨係得棒棒。嘿，做咩啊 Lucky？我哋會唔會有掹爛人哋啲？我哋要舉重，嘿，舉多支後面嗰支，嘿。我哋哇食咁多嘅，食咁多蛋白粉啊！誒，我喺前面噴翻條骨出，冇事。條嘢變強咗，OK，係佢勁咗，哇！佢行得快咗好多啊！ 我就整爛人哋啲嘢啦。哇，舉得到唔知3嚿啊係。咩鍵盤得2個掣0同1，好多雞骨啊！好多雞骨啊！做嘢！咦都 FB 喎。啊，瞓覺。點啊？又去右邊，去左邊。哦，跟住佢。啊！哦，過到馬路啦，哈哈！哇，呢個乜鬼嘢嚟㗎？啊！大家唔好睇，大家唔好睇啦呢度。哇，前面嗰兩塊嘢紅嘅。Find your note 啊！點啊？可唔可以推之前嗰啲？可唔可以推之前嘅自己去咩？好啦，我揾完我自己。哇！佢哋啲骨啊，你有冇見到啊？我個頭遮住，佢哋個骨係咁樣嘅，原來。你有冇見到佢哋個骨啊？你飲翻啖水先啦。佢哋嘅骨啊，向前行先，我哋翻去啦。呢度有啲咩？啊！咩啊 ？Go through the door on the left。但係點解佢 mark 咗係 right？ 哦，就係呢啲嘢。我唔應該信佢，我唔應該咁樣信佢。咩 ？Go through the door on the right。又點啊？今次，哈哈。Impress her， 哈哈。嗱，俾你。你咩事啊你？你咩事啊你？你咩事呀？佢想點？喂！我哋又發惡夢啦，我哋。撳熄個鬧鐘，好嘈。撳熄個鬧鐘啊
！Jim had remade John into a sculpted adongus。
啊！有3個禮拜，成日發惡夢，佢好大壓力。Finally， 呢啲係咩嚟㗎？點解有針嘅？點解有針嘅？跟住哦，跟住做啊，跟住做啊！好似翻唔到入去。個身啲痕 ，Oh my god！ 佢啲係腹肌，嗰啲係食完蛋白粉油嘅腹肌。走開啊！你個多士爐。食蛋白粉，一隻。 唔係嚟咧，應該係腹肌啊嘛。Reread in fight 邊度啊？
He read it again
啊，
and again. Stunned. He'd gotten the date wrong.
好似係
Very
狗仔
well.
咁
The
樣呢
reunion was tonight. Tonight!
個。啊，跟住
He'd have to go alone. They'd all be there, and they'd look at John and they'd know he was still a loser.
腹
No,
肌嚟㗎，你睇清楚啲。
John needed a date fast.
Ah.
He'd have to go out. He'd have to make an impact. John had to dress his best, only better.
我哋要換衫，呢件好咩？
Oh my, John.
Wow.
Welcome to the gun show.
我哋着呢個。
That's a choice, I suppose.
唔黃色
Is
嘅
it。sending the right message?
走開。
This isn't the
好啦，我
time
哋
for
着浴
comfort,
袍出
John.
去，棘住咗啊！棘住咗啊！等先，我要着件浴袍出去咯，都話唔要着呢個啊，要浴袍啊，要呢個啊，要浴袍啊，係得啦。我先講咩啊？我哋要咩 ？Hit the club 係咪啊？邊啲係 club 啊？咩叫 hit the club 啊？棘住咗啊 ！Oh my god！ 得啦。點解全部都係呢啲蛋白粉？分陣分，得。
There had to be someone
做咩
single
喎？
and
染熱
desperately alone in the city. Someone besides John.
飲返啖水先。
He just had to find them. John went straight to the nearest bar. Sure, it was still early, but he couldn't waste any
我哋去
time.
吧。
There must be some day drinkers he
咁
could
即係
pick
有酒
up.
飲。唔夠我快喎，
It
有
was a
時。
classy place. Even the vomit was high
哇！嗰邊
quality.
有人飲醉酒。係大丈夫ですか？
The bouncer looked like a hagfish that had
Ah.
taken up lacrosse.
喂，你係俾我出翻嚟，你係冇打我。係
Much better.
仲有得換衫添
Badass. Classy.
咁樣啦，紅色嘅，走開，走開啊！走開啊！滅火筒，拜拜滅火筒。
John stepped into the bar and saw her. The answer to the question.
呢個係女仔
What
嚟
was John's
嘅，
purpose?
佢話呢個係
Her.
佢，
Loving her. Being with her.
呢個唔
Taking
係
her
係
to the
女仔咯
reunion.。Their eyes met, and John knew she felt the same. Gladys did not feel the same. But John wasn't going to give up on their life together. A couple of drinks would loosen her up to their destiny.
做咩啊？佢喺度跳舞咩 ？practice
Wow. Gladys was not an
Wow.
amateur when it came to drinking. John had to keep up.
打落佢咯。Buy another round。佢慢咗。飲
It
咁
was
多酒
working.
唔好
Gladys was
㗎。
definitely warming up to John.
你做咩飲咁多？黐線兩條友，黐線兩條友飲勁多，仲可以飲多次，係。
John's bladder was very full. It sloshed audibly as he moved.
諗咩講呢句咩？Find the restroom。我哋去廁所，我哋去廁所，我哋去廁所。哇，曱甴！啊，算啦，你搞笑佢哋。哇，佢識飛，佢識飛。
Holy balls! John had never felt such relief.
哇！隔離嗰度做咩事啊？我棘住咗。我整爛咗佢道門，可以。我係咪應該洗個手先？
If only John could wash off the embarrassment like he washed off the urine.
好啦，洗完就嚟出去。
John looked around. Gladys was gone. John cursed his petite bladder. It was clear the cockpit was on autopilot. Time for John to hit the next bar.
我哋冇問bartender。
John's anxiety had sunk under the surface of the beer he'd drunk, while his confidence was floating high. This was the place he'd find love. It was empty. Except for the bartender. Clearly this bar's only special was unhappy hour. 2 for 1 was a good deal though, and so far the beer had lifted John's spirits. Another 4 would make him feel twice as good.
噴錢啊呢度。 手太快嘅後果，我都唔想㗎。Tip the bartender。
What was so offensive about offering a big tip in exchange for a date? John had thought bartenders loved tips. He needed to find a better club, one with a vibe.
我哋俾人抌咗出嚟。
John was drawn by the pulse of the music. It pulled him forward like a moth to a fiery death.
No.
John was running out of time to find a date and prove that he wasn't a loser. Dancing. The real way to flirt. The way of animals, of wild sexual creatures. John strutted and shook his booty. With booze buzzing round his head, John found himself on the dance floor. Everyone was up close and sweaty. John was exhilarated. He felt alive. John was working himself up to try a little bump and grind.
我叫我跟到啲啦。
It was a moment out of a movie. John alone on the dance floor with a gorgeous penis, their sexual chemistry exploding. She moved away, coyly. John could tell when someone was playing hard to get.
He let
her marinate in the tension before making his move. John wasn't taking no for an answer. Some people have no sense of fun. John was certain the next bar would be different. The next bar wasn't different. John couldn't understand why everyone was so sensitive. It was like no one wanted to have a good time. Like no one had a sense of humor. John had meant that as a compliment. When did the world get so uptight? John's ego was as bruised as his shaft. He had to admit it. He'd failed. He was where he belonged. Oh, that's gross. Oh, it's so moist, but textured. It smells like rotting dick yogurt. John's misery was sour in his mouth. He needed a drink to wash it down. There was still one bar he hadn't been kicked out of yet.
我哋又去間新嘅 bar。好啦，我哋洗個，哎呀 ，sorry。
John had cleaned himself up as much as possible. He really needed a mint.
做咩全部 bar 都有曱甴？嘿，整爛人哋都冇，嘿，整唔爛人哋都冇，啊救命！好啦，出翻去先。係咩？哦，
John
我知
got
what's
it
this
in,
啦。
but he needed more to satisfy the machine. Nailed it. John let out his anger, his frustration. Life was a shitty joke. It wasn't fair. You want to mess
我唔係
with
入咗
John?
錢咩？佢食咗我啲錢啊！佢食咗我啲錢啊 ！Return 喺邊度？邊度係 return 啊？做乜嘢嗰啲嘢咯？我唔係我睇得明添。Enter， 哦 Enter， 點解係 return 嘅？
This is what you get.
點解有血條嘅喂？boss 嚟嘅原來呢個係。係，哦，冇嘢啦，要向前衝。
Fuck you, you fucking thing. You had one job.
哦，個仔嘅係 return 咁解，哦好咧。
Die, 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 die!
我想講個配音唔係個配音個旁白係咪都好唔想配嘅？其實應該，原來嗰度有個咩？嘿，
It's not fair. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not.
衝後啲，衝啊！係，點解揀得咁少？佢有冇諗過佢自己要配呢啲咁嘅嘢？其實應該都冇人諗過自己要配呢啲咁嘅嘢。點解佢唔慳我嘅？打人。
That's how you get what you want.
成地都係我。
Menthol.
超鬼抽筋啊！抽筋啊！我玩呢隻 game 玩到好似。係。呢啲係咩嚟？其實。
John wanted the strongest drink they had.
Hello， 又飲啊
Rough night? Someone asked John. He hadn't noticed her when he came in, but now he did. It really had been a rough night for John, but he felt a little better that someone cared enough to ask. But destiny had given John a second chance. John made his move. Unfortunately, according to Alice and to her boyfriend Chadrick, it was the wrong move.
我又俾人抌咗出嚟。
Chadrick threw John into the alley and followed, making unoriginal but still terrifying threats.
係呀。
Get him, John! I can't watch. Don't hold back! Give it to him!
俾佢行。
Brutal.
喂。
Yes! Yes! John had survived. No, he'd won. He'd won. He'd won. He wasn't a loser. And there was the proof lying in a bruised, bloody heap.
我哋攞住個好有攻擊性嘅嘢
He needed to go over there and beat the pre-cum out of those dicks. High school reunion, the perfect time to teach someone a lesson.
我哋要行過去，我哋要離開呢一度。
The doors of the school.
我哋又返嚟學校
A
啦。
sight John had dreaded every day for years, and now he was going willingly through them,
我哋又
unafraid,
返嚟學
fueled
校。
by years of unprocessed anger fermented in loneliness.
點解間學校附近咁陰森嘅？我哋返嚟之後咧，
The chickens were coming home to roost, and they were all cocks.
係呢個咩嚟嘅？呢個咩嚟嘅？喺度搗亂嘅原來喺呢度。
These were the peanuts he'd grown up with, now with jobs and marriages and beer bellies. John was surprised at how ordinary they had all turned out. He spotted them, John's tormentors. Time for them to feel the wrath.
係唔係啊？唔好再
John gave them a chance to apologize.
呼呼
They were laughing at John like they had never stopped. John
Wow.
was going to have to make it end.
我哋飛起嚟。
Pow!
4打1喎，
Ha!
打到
Who's
好
a
似有
loser
障礙
now?
咁。
Who?
我都覺係啊！
Don't let up.
我哋冇血嘅喎，人哋有血啫嘛，唔緊要啦。阿莊唔會死嘅，阿莊係不死身。
Stuff, John.
有一個就嚟死啦，嗰個唔識讀佢個名。
Fight back, John.
呢一個係舞台，呢個係俾我打交嘅舞台。
How do you like that?
呢個都死埋。
Get in there! Whoa!
死未嗰個？
Shake off the pain, buddy.
走開走開走開走開！
Careful.
嚇！翻嚟。
Ha! John had won.
Ha.
He'd won.
打完。
No one could say
我贏
John
啦！
was a loser now. John's primal joy faded as he saw how the other penises looked at him. Not like a winner, like he was trash.
我哋贏咗啦！他登，所以咧冇咩冇。我哋喺邊啊？
John
there, there.
tumbled down the steps, hitting every bruise on his length and his ego.
嘔啊！你又嘔啦！
It was her,
Hi.
Harmony. She had been at the reunion. She'd seen it all and followed John out. To laugh at him more? No, to see if he was all right. Why did that hurt John so much? This was John's chance to ask her. Why, all those years ago, she'd
我喺
said
度
to
聽
him,
緊旁白。
no one will ever love you. Harmony stared at John in shock. How could John not know why? Didn't John remember what he'd done?
我哋做咗啲咩？哇！我哋暈啦，暈咗啦。黑芒藥，哦，又要向右向左咩？呢度完咗啦，我哋完咗第一次嘅故事啦。睇嚟個主角幾棘下，都好難棘喎，俾我咁樣玩法而家。呢個蘋果嚟，哦，原來有唔同嘅。有冇蘋果俾我食？食蜜蜂？唔係，食蜂巢。哇！哇！今次到我哋嘅喂，吓？我哋到底發生哇！我哋到底發生咗啲咩事？咩事？而家玩貪食蛇啊！我哋玩貪食蛇喎，喺等巴士。係，拜。哇！有滅火筒。阿 Sam 啊！喂，老細，唔係喎，你係同事嚟喎，你唔係老細。呢個都係同事，推佢埋去。咩聲啊？咩聲？食鬧鐘。如果貪食蛇有呢個造型嘅話，冇啦。係。嗨，記住咗。嗨，我記住咗。會好核突喎！但係如果有呢個造型嘅三色蛇嘅，喂，媽咪 long legs， 唔知啊，可能係咧。發生咗咩事？6個鐘之後，阿 Sam 啊。
There was nothing Sam enjoyed more than the fresh air of an early morning, the dew sparkling on the grass, the music of the trees, space to think.
我冇 friend 喎，冇 friend， 我自己控制呢個而家，我控制緊 WASD。Hello 天，點樣俾你？左手唔識控制呢個。嘿
What was that smell?
係。
It made Sam's
佢哋
eye
唔理
water.
喎，佢哋假㗎。
It
哦，阿
was
Sam
John,
啊，唔
passed
係
out
阿
and
John 啊，
crusted
阿
with
Sam
vomit
阿
and
John。
regret.
係。
John was awake and tolerably clean.
我可以自己一個人
Sam
控制
tried
晒
to be
兩樣。
gentle and invited John to join him on his walk.
我自己一個人控制晒㗎啦，可以。我係咪玩緊以前嗰啲冰火人？我唔知你哋知唔知我講邊嘢？
Sam coaxed John along. It was like herding
點
compost.
解阿John行得咁鬼慢嘅？佢嘔。真啊！ 寫咩啊？寫呢？我以前好中意玩嘅，仲要係自己玩嘅。
How had he ended up such a wreck?
去病毒網有得玩，有分寫呢？糖豆人係喎，之後可以喎。走唔到，走唔到。哇阿 Sam 行得快過好多。
Sam saw his friend's misery. He suggested they keep going.
咩？我以前好似有下載過成個 Flash 做 X 嚟玩。哦。
John wanted to know something.
John
Why didn't anyone love
John
him?
上返嚟上返嚟。
As soon as he said it, he felt like a softie,
John 跌咗落
whining
河
about his feelings.
我控制唔到兩個啊！而家。
But Sam didn't make fun of him. Sam asked him to go on. And so John told him the whole story. About how hard he'd made himself and how unfair it felt. And everything
係
he'd
咁講
done.
嘅，係咁嗶，哇！我喺度瞓晒覺嘅，醒啊醒啊，哇！
Saying it out loud, John realized he sounded like an asshole. But he'd done everything right. Why didn't he get what he wanted? Why didn't John get love? Wanting someone isn't the same as loving them, said Sam. You'll figure it out, John. But you have to keep trying.
P 嚇！
How about a bike ride? Sam asked.
我哋有咁多錢先嚟點啊？我哋買車。啊，走啦，買咗3架。
John struggled
踩
to
單
get his
車啊
balance,
！Oh my god！
but Sam told
哇，
him not to
上
give
車
up.
上車上車。
John kept trying, getting better as they
落
went.
咗去，落翻嚟先，喂好，唔使咁驚喎，唔使咁驚喎，天鵝。有車，爭啲俾車車過。Hello。我哋喺度郊遊，撞佢，撞佢。哦，咁樣上次可以加速嘅，乜撞？
John and Sam stopped and looked at the
控制得
sunset.
幾好。
For a moment, John let himself be quiet and listen to the world and
You're so
look at
zen.
how beautiful it could be.
行唔到過去喎，冇得行過去喎，唔算，冇得行啊！
Life can be hard.
冇得行啊！
said
四
Sam.
碌車，
But that doesn't mean we have to be.
四碌車。The end。哇！撞啲嘅，哇！阿 Sam 好似中咗毒咁，佢綠色嘅，唔係講緊你。 呢個係咩嚟嘅？哦 ，kick flower，pick flower， 唔係 kick 係 pick。個 N 同我幾種唔同吓？哦，因為人哋有做其他嗰啲，可能去唔同地方就有。咩嚟啊？畫畫，我識畫畫嘅。攞起支筆，我支筆要用劈劈入㗎。好啦，畫唔到啊！放狗？唔係喎，呢隻係咩嚟？放天鵝。Hello， 被車撞啊！咩嚟㗎？分雞，我攝唔到把刀入去。哦，你冇嘢嘛，婆？呢度會唔會我又俾人黃標，或者俾人版權我啲音樂？有人啊！有字啊！可以打字啊！咁樣打字 good 啊！我哋同阿 Sam 睇電視。哇！鐵達尼號嚟喎呢個。佢諗咗。啊，變咗啦！我哋係咪可以 start new？ Hi。我哋有同人哋道歉啊 ！What the fuck？ 完咗啦！哦，我衝咗過嚟。Hi， 兩優人。呢度應該都冇特別啦，呢度 end 啫。online offline 故事模 I know 故事模new game 佢應該有唔同㗎，如果我哋行出去唔同嘅話就有唔同嘅，應該等我試一試，我哋唔玩晒，但係我哋試下。哇！佢噴種子啊！喂，佢跌落嚟。之前佢唔係西瓜哦。開始了又，哦，之後佢有 No one of you。No one will ever love you. Why? 又嚟啦！係啊，我夠識撞你哋，唔係喎，佢又唔畀我撞喎，唔知點解佢又唔畀我撞佢哋。
John woke to the shrill cry of his alarm clock and lay there, rigid, his usual morning condition. But there was another reason John couldn't get out of bed. It was the weight. A weight that had nothing to do with his muscles or fat or sweaty blankets. John was weighed down by a piece of paper. The invitation to his high school reunion. From across the years, the words he'd heard in the schoolyard were still clear. You're a loser. No one will ever love you.
我哋拆咗個鬧鐘，咁咧我就從來都未去過呢度嘅廁所嘅。
John needed to shower and wash off the sweaty stink of desperate sadness.
要沖涼。要沖涼，要用番梘。
They say cleanliness is next to godliness, but at that moment cleanliness was next to his prostate.
刷牙，佢有牙嘅咩？哎呀 ，what the fuck！ 攞呢個嘅刷完啦，你唔使生水喉啊？咁咪好嘥錢咯。核突啊！又係呢件。哦，原來有得喺度咁樣換衫，點解全部都係黃色嘅？點解佢叫阿總？哇！好啦，就頭先最後嗰件啦，又係。接住做。變咗呢件。我要呢件啦，我哋要呢件啦，行啦。
John had 3 months until the reunion to turn his life around. First, he needed to clean up. John called it his study, but it was basically for games and porn. Mostly porn.
我哋擺返啲碟落去啦，哎呀。
The only reason he'd ordered so much takeout was because Delilah, the delivery peen, made John feel butterflies in his testicles.
呢個係肉醬意粉。
John suddenly realized the time. Distracted by his new drive to improve his life, he had become late. He needed to hurry, or he'd miss the bus to work. John had left his apartment late. But if he caught the express bus, he might make it to work on time. John didn't really like his job, but it had 2 qualities in its favor. 1, he could pay his rent, and 2, Barbara. Currently John's top candidate for his reunion day. He tried to start a conversation, and did not get the reaction he'd hoped for. It was probably because he was a minimum wage peen. She could probably sense it.
我哋喺度等巴士，我推咗佢落去。好，拜拜。
John noticed a moderately attractive peen waiting at the stop.
呢度就係我哋返工嘅地方。頭先有嚟過，我哋着草裙。
The air was cold and
同埋咧椰子殼返工。
How long had John worked here? Long enough to deserve better.
係啦。
John was late. But he felt daring. He could sneak into the office through the archives, or he could stroll through the front entrance with enough confidence to bluff his boss.
頭先我哋行咗呢度，我哋今次行呢度。
Predictably, he chose the direct route.
呢度就係我哋要去返工嘅地方。呢個係咩嚟㗎？影印機。影緊張咩出嚟？影緊張咩出嚟？我睇唔到啊！可唔可以？喂！我真係影到我出嚟㗎喎！喂！ 好神奇啊！好神奇啊！得啦，我哋翻 office。
John was nearly trampled by the morning coffee rush.
他的
Everyone else was hard at work, grinding away. John might actually get away with this. The boss. He homed in on John, deluging him with spit and
做咩
buzzwords.
咧？
The boss ran out of synonyms for John's failings and gave him an ultimatum. Barbara would definitely not be interested in dating John if he was unemployed. He had to get to the quality assurance department.
佢又送我去試 ，Oh my god！
There might be a faulty dildo just waiting to cost the company millions in lawsuits. John would have to test them all.
佢唔俾我
Every
咁滯
atom
我
of
得啦。
John's rectum began to vibrate with the frequencies of pure pleasure. His orifice was a paradise. This vibrator would end all
我咪
wars.
試咗一個
It
咯。
was good. The Prostate Pounder X900 series, the most advanced vibrator on the market.
我係幫公司
That one was
試
good
嘢
too.
嘅人，what the fuck？ 好
Sweet
啊，
mother
呢
of
間公
no,
司好
John,
危
that's too
險。
much pleasure for one anus to handle.
冷靜啲啊，John！冷靜啲啊，John！停啊！哦，我哋又跌落嚟啦。啪！我發生咗咩事啊？你試下佢撳咩？
John's
你
butter,
試下佢撳
but his
中鹹
heart
辣
was
椒。
proud. If that vibe had gotten out into the world, it could have injured a customer as badly as it had ravaged his anus.
呢啲係冰嚟嘅。
The boss arrived and congratulated John on taking one for the team and jumping on the hand grenade, or in this case, putting it up his butt. John was having trouble following the conversation because he was quite
我
high
今
on
次終於做
suppository
晒啲任務
painkillers.
啦，頭都脱埋。
Then the boss said it. Promotion. Finally, the company was recognizing John's hard work and ignoring
the
his
time
minor
we had
faults
met a bit.
like lack of talent, constant lateness, and flatulence.
佢老細咧？
John's new office smelt like polished wood and success. John's success.
喺邊？
Sam dropped by. He'd
Hi,
heard John
Sam.
had been hurt. John said he was fine. He wasn't a softie to complain about a mildly ruptured
食蛋
rectum.
糕啊！我哋
Besides, he had a
食唔到
promotion
啊！
to
我食唔到
celebrate.
嘢，唔好意思。冇嘢
John had met Sam in college during a sports ball
我驚
game.
我驚，
He'd
我再
given
同
him
我
some
講
stiff
no。
competition.
推就嚟，連人帶波。喂，你唔可以咁奸嘛！喂，你唔可以咁奸嘛！你走開。耶！
Not stiff enough.
我
They
贏
started
咗
a
耶！
flashbulb testing together. Nothing builds a friendship like a long day of dildo mounting.
喂，
Yes, John had known Sam for a while.
你
But
隻
John
鏡可
couldn't
廿
hang out
塊
with Sam. He had a reunion to prepare
高
for.
快
He was going out
Barbara。
with Barbara tonight. He just had to ask her. Everyone was quiet, listening to the presentation. A good moment for John to ask Barbara out.
邊個係 Barbara 其實？
Barbara agreed. Well, she
哦，原
nodded.
來呢個就係
Sort
Barbara。OK，
Things were really going John's way.
贏咗。
John tried to act as suave as possible and listen to Barbara talk business. He didn't want to blow his chances at long-term love and short-term sex. Barbara began to talk about monthly feedback figures, and John started to zone out, imagining him and Barbara at the reunion, a power couple. She would make his classmates sick with envy. If he could get her to tone down the boring chatter. John's balls were gripped by certainty. Barbara was the perfect date for the reunion.
Man, show off your skill behind the bar.
John thought he would impress Barbara by going behind the bar and showing the bartender a thing or two. Despite Barbara's protests that it was unnecessary, John knew that a true gentleman should follow her home. He was excited. There was still 3 months until the reunion, and he'd already landed his perfect date. All he had to do was seal the deal. Barbara thanked John for the evening and politely did not invite him inside for coffee or sex, even though John had dropped some pretty obvious hints he'd be into both, or just the sex. The door slammed on John's hopes. He didn't understand. He'd laughed at all Barbara's pie chart jokes. He'd listened to her boring stories. The blank eyes of the lawn flamingos were witnesses to John's shame.
呢個有咩分別啊？同頭先呢個同頭先有冇分別啊？已經冇分別啦。喂。
John began the lonely walk home, thoughts tumbling like shoes in a dryer. He had done everything wrong. Barbara had led him on just to humiliate him.
好似好痛。不過我諗應該都差唔多，可能後面我有啲任務做到嘅話，佢就會可以同到其他女仔一齊咁樣，可能係。乜嘢嚟呢個 ？No way！ 唔係，我唔要啊！我要出去。好啦，咁樣講啦，咁咧隻 game 大概玩到呢度啦，我諗。我食咗咁直接嘅食得咁快，咁咧應該咧就唔會黃標嘅咁樣睇法，都唔係好勁啫，應該。咁咧嚟緊咧有咩台咧，就大家可能要留意翻星期日嘅時間表啦，然後係咯。主要都係留意翻星期日時間表啦。咁然後下個星期五係咪都係紅日嗰啲啊？如果係嘅話，可能咁樣應該都未必開到台。未肯定，我再睇下時間先。如果係唔係紅日嘅話，咁我應該都會開到台。係大概係咁啦。咁今日就お疲れ様です。今日隻 game 有啲入擺，盡量唔好俾阿媽見到，我阿媽唔好見，阿媽唔好睇，多謝唔該，拜拜。咁我哋有咩就下個禮拜見啦。我哋下個禮拜一睇下先，禮拜一有冇嘢？我有冇嘢做？冇。咁我哋下個禮拜一見啦，大家早啲休息啦。係啊，其實諗有病病地啊，諗有少少病啊，最主要係生理期，諗下好開放，唔怕，我好怕啊。諗有生理期啦，咁然後就有少少感冒啦， 而家好想打下次啦，而家等陣。係啦，咁咧就有少少嘅感冒，就係咁咧，所以咧今日都係早少少休息，唔再特登去睇下隻 game 有冇第二個結局啊之類。咁如果有機會我揾到人同我玩，我就同人玩；但係冇嘅話就唔緊要啦，就擺住喺度先啦隻 game。係咁，咁就變咗今日就早啲唞下先，因為其實今日叫做係第一日啦，個肚唔係好舒服啦，咁就係咁啦。個人而家都唔係好舒服啦，突然間要打兩個乞嗤之後就唔舒服啦，原來我個人就歪咗啦，你睇下，哈哈。OK， 嗱啦，咁大概就下個星期一就可以見到大家。咁啊，星期一期待下我玩咩啦？咁可能下個禮拜會有嗰個爬山嘅遊戲啦，未肯定嘅，因為其實個遊戲我已經爬翻上第4關，咁所以如果大家真係好想睇嘅，我可以下個禮拜開，再唔係就再下個禮拜，可能唔知噶，到時睇下點啦。就係咁。咁今日辛苦晒，我疲れ様でした。我哋下星期見啦，大家早啲休息 ，good night。早唞，我諗緊，我下一個係咩？我有事咪休息㗎啦，拜拜。